Have you ever stood on the edge of the earth? In Yellowstone, you can. Yellowstone isn't just a park, it's a place where the earth breathes, where geysers explode like clockwork, and where wildlife roams free. It's a place that makes you feel small in the best possible way. And in this video, I'm going to share you some of the moments that made me fall in love with this untamed wilderness. Join me as we breathe in the crisp morning air, marveling at turquoise pools that seem impossibly blue, feel the thrill of Old Faithful's eruption, and soak in the quiet peace of standing among ancient pines. I can't wait to share my deep love for this place, and I hope I inspire you to experience the magic too. My love affair with Yellowstone started young, back in second grade. Then again with my parents as a high school graduation present. And again 20 years later with my husband and 3 children in a small trailer as we camped at Fishing Bridge. Again in the early 2000s with our German exchange student and 2 of my children. And now with my cousin Jana. Each visit to me reinforces that Yellowstone is America the beautiful, wild, and magnificent. So before we jump into the video and looking at some of Yellowstone's attractions, I just want to explain to you how this video is organized. First, we're going to go around the Grand Loop and see the attractions. Then I'll have some tips to make your travel to Yellowstone stress-free. Things I learned firsthand that can make your trip smoother, from avoiding crowds to staying safe in bear country, and maybe even for keeping your snacks safe from marauding crows. Well, more on that later. And finally, I'll wrap up my thoughts on this visit to Yellowstone, what I liked, what I didn't like. So let's get started because this park is full of surprises. Just wait and see. Yellowstone is massive, clocking in at almost 3,500 square miles. The best way to explore it is by following the Grand Loop Road, which forms a figure 8. And this park is commonly divided into 2 loops. The upper loop, which is perfect for seeing wildlife, dramatic canyons, and unique geological features, and the lower loop, which is most famous for Old Faithful. So during our stay in Silver Gate, we stayed near the northeast entrance of the park and made it a morning ritual to rise early and drive through Lamar Valley, hoping to spot some of Yellowstone's legendary wildlife. Lamar Valley is often called the Serengeti of North America. This vast, sweeping valley is one of the best places in the park to observe animals in their natural habitat. Wolves, bison, pronghorns, and even grizzly bears roam these open plains, making it a prime destination for wildlife enthusiasts. Each morning when we left and at dusk when we returned, there were grizzly spotters on the hills. They had their scopes and they were trying to see a glance at some of these magnificent beasts. Unfortunately, we never caught a glimpse of one on this trip, but in a past trip, we're greeted with just us right after daylight, seeing a mother grizzly and her 2 cubs. For over an hour, we watched them with our binoculars from a safe distance. It was amazing. But we certainly saw a lot of bison. They surrounded us, their massive forms silhouetted against the sky. And of course, we witnessed the speed of the pronghorn as they darted effortlessly across the valley floor. Even without grizzly sightings, Lamar Valley never fails to impress. Your next stop, the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, one of the park's most breathtaking and iconic landscapes, stretching 24 miles long and plunging up to 1,200 feet deep. This canyon is a masterpiece, sculpted by the relentless force of the Yellowstone River over thousands of years. The result? A jaw-dropping panorama of golden yellows, fiery oranges, and deep reds, colors created by the oxidation of iron in the rock. Just look at those hues. And there's different viewpoints like Inspiration Point. It's a spectacular elevated view of the canyon's rugged beauty, and you can see the lower falls in the distance. And the lower falls is the most iconic waterfall in Yellowstone. It plunges 308 feet. That's twice the height of Niagara Falls. And this dramatic drop makes it one of the most photographed spots in the park. So then, stop at Canyon Village. for a quick bite to eat. Now you're heading north towards Mammoth Springs, located near Yellowstone's northwest entrance, the only park entrance open year-round to wheeled vehicles. But this isn't just an entrance, it's a destination in itself. It's packed with history, wildlife, and I mean jaw-dropping formations. Mammoth Hot Springs is also home to Fort Yellowstone, a former military outpost from 1891 to 1918. It was built to protect the park before there was a National Park Service. But the showstopper here is the stunning limestone terraces, sculpted over time by geothermal activity. These formations are alive and they constantly shift, creating an otherworldly, almost alien landscape. Just look at those colors: brilliant white, earthy browns, and steaming pools contrast against the rugged terrain. And here we got to see an unforgettable experience. We were greeted with a herd of elk grazing behind the center's post office. The highlight was hearing the bull elk's eerie bugle call, a haunting, high-pitched sound that echoed through the crisp air. It certainly is an eerie sound that truly captures the wild essence of Yellowstone. So we headed back to our lodge in Silver Gate. Day 2, we drove the lower loop, where you're going to see a lot of geysers, fantastic springs, and believe me, iconic views. Did you know that Yellowstone is home to more geysers than anywhere else in the world? Yes, in Yellowstone, half of the world's geysers are located right in the park. Now we're going on the lower loop, which is this loop down here. Heading south, you'll travel through Hayden Valley, another place known for wildlife sightings. Go down here, and right here is the mud volcanoes. The mud volcano area is also one of the most acidic regions in Yellowstone, with hissing fumaroles and steaming hillsides littered with trees that are cooked by the extreme geothermal activity. The heavy scent of sulfur fills the air, and as you walk the boardwalk, you can't help but feel like you've stepped into an alien battlefield. A battle between fire, earth, and water playing out beneath our feet. I love seeing the Dragon's Mouth Spring. This eerie hot spring emerges from a deep cave-like opening where trapped gases and steam build up pressure, causing water to surge out in rhythmic bursts. The churning water, the thick swirling steam, and the deep rumbling sounds make it feel like Puff the Magic Dragon is lurking inside, exhaling steam and growling from within its lair. Now don't miss the Sulphur Cauldron, one of the most acidic and smelliest hot springs in Yellowstone. This bubbling, otherworldly geothermal feature emits powerful sulfuric gases and constantly churns with activity. It has a pH between 1 and 2. It's as acidic as a car battery, acid, or stomach fluid. So trust me, this is one spring you won't want to touch. Then we go here. Here's a fishing bridge. Here's Lake Village. And then this whole thing is Yellowstone Lake. Next up, Fishing Bridge Visitor Center, perched on the shores of Yellowstone Lake, which is the largest high elevation lake in North America. It spans 136 square miles with 110 miles of shoreline, and it sits an impressive 7,732 feet above sea level. Well, after some time in the car, we needed to get out and stretch our legs. So we hiked the Pelican Nature Trail. It's only a 1.3 mile round trip trek, but it's known for its breathtaking views and excellent birdwatching opportunities. As we made our way towards a secluded beach on the lake, we couldn't help but notice some very fresh evidence of bison activity. Let's just say they left behind more than just hoof prints. Luckily, we didn't cross paths with any grumpy bison along the way. With few other hikers on the trail, we enjoyed the peacefulness of the lake, the calls of the distant birds, and the soft rustling of the trees. And that view, brilliant blue water against the rugged shoreline, made this short hike feel like a hidden gem of Yellowstone. But it was time to drive past the West Thumb Visitor Center, cross the Continental Divide, and make a stop at Kepler Cascade. It's a breathtaking series of cascading waterfalls along the Firehole River. With an easily accessible viewing platform, it's the perfect spot to pause, take in the rushing waters, as they tumble dramatically through the rugged landscape. Next up is Old Faithful and the Upper Geyser Basin. So the Upper Geyser Basin is home to Yellowstone's most legendary geyser. Old Faithful lives up to its name, erupting with impressive regularity approximately every 90 minutes, sending steaming water skyward anywhere from 100 to 180 feet. But before we witnessed this spectacular show, we stepped inside another Old Faithful icon, the historic Old Faithful Inn. It was built in 1904. This masterpiece of rustic architecture is one of the largest log structures in the world. Walking in feels like stepping into a grand enchanted lodge. The ceiling soars an incredible 76 feet and is supported by massive lodgepole pine beams. And every handcrafted detail adds to its old world charm. We took some time to explore, grabbed a bite to eat, and soaked in the cozy yet awe-inspiring atmosphere. Later, as the sky drizzled rain, we joined the gathered crowd, eyes on Old Faithful. The anticipation built with every bubbling surge until, boom, it erupted in a towering, thundering plume of steam and water, a force of nature in all its raw power. Rain or shine, this was a moment worth waiting for.
Leave Old Faithful and go up here to Midway Geyser Basin.
I absolutely love our next stop. It is the Midway Geyser Basin, which is home to the Prismatic Spring and Excelsior Geyser. Let me show you. The Grand Prismatic Spring isn't just the largest hot spring in the U.S., it's also the most colorful and the most photographed attraction in the park. Its vivid hues remind me of a shimmering, rainbow-hued oil slick, constantly shifting as the sunlight dances across the water. And just a short walk away is the Excelsior Geyser Crater. It's a massive thermal feature with a fascinating past because back in 1881, this geyser was a powerhouse, blasting water up to 360 feet into the air. Now it no longer erupts, it still puts on a show. Its striking aqua blue surface is often shrouded in thick clouds of steam, giving it an almost mystical appearance. Next up, the Lower Geyser Basin. This is home to the fountain paint pots. This geothermal area is unique because it showcases all four types of thermal features found in Yellowstone: geysers, hot springs, fumaroles, and mud pots. So you might ask, what exactly are fumaroles? Well, they're kind of like nature's pressure vents. They're the hottest of Yellowstone's hydrothermal features, and it's where steam and gases escape through the ground due to minimal underground water. My favorite spot here is the breathtaking sapphire blue Celestine pool. Absolutely stunning, and let's do our part to keep it that way. I still remember how vivid the colors were in the morning glory pool at Yellowstone. But unfortunately, over time, people threw in coins and trash, and that changed the temperature, which then meant certain colors of thermophiles no longer thrived, and the morning glory pool is not gorgeous like it once was. So don't throw coins and trash anywhere in Yellowstone except in a trash receptacle. Next stop, see the Firehole Falls, a picturesque 40-foot waterfall located along Firehole Canyon Drive. Then just drive a short distance to Gibbon Falls, another stunning 84-foot waterfall located along the Grand Loop Road between Norris and Madison junctions. And this easily accessible overlook provides breathtaking views of the cascading water tumbling over volcanic rock, making it a fantastic stop for photography and a quick break during your drive. Then we took a short hike to explore the artist's paint pots, a mesmerizing geothermal area filled with bubbling mud pots, steaming vents, and vibrant hot springs. Along the way, I came across a particularly industrious little chipmunk here. He was completely unfazed by the endless stream of humans passing by. I also spotted clear evidence of a recent fire, a stark reminder of nature's cycle of destruction and renewal. And just look at this creek, those stunning shades of green flowing together, making it truly one of a kind. So next, you're going to want to visit Norris Geyser Basin. It's home to the tallest geyser when it erupts, and that's Steamboat Geyser. But both days we were there, the parking lot was full, overflow on the road, and we just decided, well, we were kind of geysered out, so we missed that. this year. Let's go over some travel tips, some wildlife tips, and safety tips. Purchase a park guide before traveling. It's a great way to start your education of the park. Allow enough time. Sure, you could drive through the park all in one day, but you'll be missing a lot. And be sure to hike the many trails, stargaze at night, ride a horse near Roosevelt Lodge, or enjoy an Old West dinner cookout. We did not expect it to be so difficult in off-season. You need to arrive early or late to avoid congestion, and prepare to be patient and use pullouts responsibly and don't block ongoing traffic. And also, be prepared for wildlife traffic jams. Bison frequently block roads. Now, for lodging and accommodations, if you want to stay in the park, reserve your room as early as possible. Things fill up really, really quick, but you can stay in towns at any of the 4 entrances. Or, being budget travelers, we decided to stay at the northeast entrance area in Silver Gate, which is the least traveled entrance. We stayed at Grizzly Lodge, snagging an off-season rate of only $179 per night. While the accommodations were basic and the bathroom quite small, the bed was comfortable and the staff was incredibly friendly, making it a solid choice for a cozy stay near Yellowstone. Now, if camping's your style, Yellowstone has 11 campgrounds with over 2,000 campsites. All campsites must be reserved in advance, with one exception, and that's the Mammoth Campground. And that one operates on a first-come, first-served basis from October 15th to April 1st. A quick heads up, no car camping is allowed. So you cannot sleep in your car in any of the parking lots or pull off the road. Yellowstone is a wildlife lover's paradise with some of the best opportunities to see animals in their natural habitat. And the best spots are Lamar Valley, Hayden Valley, and Mammoth Hot Springs. And there you might spot bison, wolves, elk, grizzly bears, black bears, moose, coyotes, and bighorn sheep. But Yellowstone isn't just about the majestic bison or the huge grizzly bears. It's also home to some pretty shifty characters. Case in point, look at these crows. At the Old Faithful parking lot, I witnessed what only I can describe as an avian heist in full daylight. That's right, broad daylight. These crows swooped down on the bike rack of a parked car like a well-rehearsed burglary crew. With laser focus, they zeroed in on a bike bag, and get this, one of them unzipped it. That's right, unzipped it. One by one, they started tossing out the bag's contents onto the pavement, clearly on the hunt for a snack. Oh, it's got him something. Hey, guys.
Oh, they're taking shit out of the bag.
The park warns you to keep your food out of reach of bears, but no one mentions the crows. So, if you're in Yellowstone, keep an eye on your snacks and your zippers. Remember, the crows are watching. Something else which bothered us, people weren't always respectful of the wildlife. They blocked roads. We had a mother bear and a cub that wanted to cross the road, and there was all people standing there, and she was going back and forth, back and forth. She didn't know what to do. And the same thing happened when we viewed a fox from afar. People were going right up to it. It was scared. It was like trying to cross, then it would go back and then trying. It was stressing out the animals. So don't do that. Stay a respectful distance. And you know what? That's good for your safety too. These are not zoo animals. They are wild animals. Stay at least 100 yards, the length of 8 school buses, away from bears and wolves, and at least 25 yards, the length of 2 school buses, between you and bison, elk, and other large animals. They could look calm, but they can charge in an instant. And if you're hiking, always carry bear spray and know how to use it. And never hike alone. Geothermal safety. Yellowstone's geothermal areas may be stunning, but they're also extremely dangerous. The ground around hot springs is thin and fragile, with scalding water just below the surface. Stay on designated boardwalks at all times. One wrong step could be life-threatening. Yellowstone's weather is unpredictable. It can be very hot, very cold. The second day when we were staying there, we woke up, snow on the roof and snow on the grounds. But by midday, just wearing our sweatshirts was absolutely fine. So my advice, dress in layers. Cell service and navigation, as usual, there are spots where there is no cell service. So download maps, hiking maps, ahead of time on your cell phone. To me, Yellowstone is a place that stays with you in your heart. And I want everyone to enjoy it. But the crowds really did bother me. I mean, we were there, towards the end of September, off season. I can't imagine what it's like in July and August at the park. And what I'm afraid of is they're going to have to limit the number of visitors every day to the park, the way Glacier National Park does now, or convert to just a shuttle service, not allowing people to drive through the park the way Denali does in Alaska. Despite these concerns, I wouldn't trade my experiences for anything. I'm already planning when can I get back to the park and show my grandkids how magnificent Yellowstone really is. It's more than just a park. It's a reminder of the wild at heart, a place to disconnect from your cell phone and be part of something bigger than yourself. So if this video helped you plan your trip or brought back fond memories of your Yellowstone trip, comment below. And if you're new here, please subscribe, because remember, adventure awaits.